So I got a question from someone I've worked with before, and someone who's very familiar with, you know, the stuff we talk about, far out manifesting principles, and non-dual, void-like spirituality in general. And the question he asked was a good question that I again hear somewhat frequently, and it was basically like, I someone, this is again coming from someone who knows about this stuff, right? This isn't a newbie to these topics, but someone who's well versed in these ideas. Asking, I don't I'm having trouble getting inspired to take action to achieve my goals. I have my goals, but I'm having a lot of trouble taking action to actually do anything about those goals. And this is why this is my my general answer, right? And I think you'll glean something from this if you've had these issues before. And honestly, I think almost all of us have these issues from time to time. Like, we know we want something, but we have trouble taking action to get it, right? Or to manifest it, right? Or we don't know what action to take. We certainly don't feel inspired to take action. I think that's a very common issue, and it affects us to some degree, every one of us, at times. But if this is happening to you, I would say, generally speaking, a way to work with it is the advice I gave the other day. That video, which I'll link above, where I said, substitute or replace your worried stories about what you want with nothing, to paraphrase Richard Dotz, right? Or with the void. We went over the void yesterday. I mean, really nothing, I think, is a better term. In other words, when we have a goal in mind, something that we want, a lot of the time, inadvertently, we think about not having it. Not about having it, but not having it. We inadvertently sabotage ourselves. This ties right into Coué's general, theory about the law of reversed effort. If you're trying too hard to get something, your mind's going to work against you. Your imagination is going to work against you as opposed to with you, which is what you want. You got to find that balance so that you're actually at peace with your goal and aligned with your goal. And that's why Dotz and others like him say, just stop thinking about what you want and think of nothing instead. Go to the void. Get at peace with the present moment and put that out of your mind. That was, the advice we were talking about the other day. But with that, this is what's important. With that, and you can just do that. Don't get me wrong, okay? You can just do that. And if you want more of a longer explanation of that, check out Richard Dotz's book, Dissolve the Problem, which is a masterpiece. But with that, the specific advice I gave the other day is you can do that, but then also, to be practical, do a success indicator if you want. If you do a success indicator, like W. Clement Stone talks about, and what we've been discussing a ton recently, in most of these recent videos, I've been mentioning the success indicator. And I saw a comment, someone being like, I still don't understand it. I made a playlist. I'll link the playlist above and below of several success indicators videos that I've done over the last year or so. But what I mean is that if you, for most of the day, to the best of your ability, if you quote unquote dissolve the problem, if instead of thinking about what you want or don't want, right, if you don't think about what you want, but think about nothing instead. It means, in other words, just be at peace in the moment. Don't think about your desire even. Don't even think about it for most of the day, to the best of your ability. Obviously, it's going to slip into your mind. And if it slips into your mind, you feel good about it, continue to think about it if you like. But if you feel negative about it, which is what often happens, do your best just to drop the thought. Just be like, I'm thinking about nothing. I'll think about this later. And you really will think about it later, especially because you can do a success indicator every day. So the time to think about your goal, if you're following this specific advice, is while you do your success indicator at night or in the morning. At that time, whether you spend 5 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, and I recommend if you're having a lot of stagnation and having trouble taking action, to spend at least a half hour a night on your success indicator, if not more. That is when to think about your desire, about your goal, right? Because if you do a success indicator and honestly analyze your behavior for that day, and do it honestly but gently, and you think about what you want, and you are in tune imaginatively. Stone said, and there's variations of this, we discussed that, but Stone said, leave the lights on, write what you want on the top of a piece of paper. For instance, love, right? Something deep like that can be very good, like an ideal, an inner intangible ideal, like love or wealth or health. Or it can be more specific, like, I want a partner, or I want to make $30,000 a month, or, I want that job promotion, or I want my knee to be healthy and healed. Whatever it is, whatever the desire is, whatever the goal is, write that on top. And then sit there, close your eyes if you want, or leave them open. Go to your quiet room if you want in your mind. Visualize a peaceful area if you want, or just leave your eyes open and just vibe out, or just close your eyes and vibe. And think about what you want, and also consider how your behavior over the last 24 hours or so, how that relates to your goal. And this isn't about intellectually analyzing your past behavior for the last 24 hours. This is about being honest with your behavior for the last 24 hours and imaginatively coming up with solutions to better your behavior if your behavior for the last 24 hours is not to your liking. This is how you get inspired to take action. You, first of all, identify what you really want, what your real goals are, and you write down the top of the paper. And if you do this honestly, night after night, at first you might have scattered goals, but after a couple nights of honest contemplation about what you really want and your behavior about what you really want that day and in general, you're going to have a pretty firm goal in mind of what you want. And then you just focus on it, or visualize having it already, or just think about the goal in a way that feels appropriate to you in that moment. If it's love you want, you just sit there and see what comes up. You think about your behavior, if you were loving to yourself or loving to other people today, or if you were mean to yourself. That's stuff you can jot down on that paper below if you want. But it's more like you're mentally analyzing your behavior and then be like, oh yeah, I should change that. You can write that down. This is a way to use a success indicator. But what makes a success indicator different than a list where you're judging what you did well and what you did poorly is that it's imaginative. So you're honestly, looking at your behavior for the day, but you're also just vibing and imaginatively thinking about what you want. So you can't sit there for 30 straight minutes and not have stuff come up in your mind imaginatively about what you want and how to get it, and how to take appropriate action to get it, and how to reduce inappropriate action so it doesn't hinder you. And then the rest of the day, when you're not doing your success indicator you can do the success indicator in the morning or any time of the day if you want. But the point is just to have at least 15 minutes, I would say, but really like a half an hour if you're working on this to, honestly and imaginatively contemplate what you want and your behavior towards getting it, towards manifesting it. Once you've done that, you can do it once a day. You can do it twice a day. That's fine. But besides those times, or that time when you do your success indicator, that contemplative, imaginative time, do not think about your desire at all. Don't think about your desire. Replace it with nothing. Unless thinking about that desire makes you feel good. If thinking about desire, it's like, oh, wow, like, I want love. I want, for instance, a partner, and I'm loving myself more today. And that feels good. Then you can, by all means, think about it. But if you notice that you go down these holes, like, well, I'm being more self-critical, or, oh, I don't know, I don't like how that person, interacts with me. I don't feel good about myself. If you go down those holes, just be like, no, I notice those thoughts, and they're just thoughts. It's bullshit. It's all bullshit. I'm replacing it with nothing. I'm just going to be present. And then when your day's done, you do the success indicator at night. And that is when you can analyze your behavior. That's when you can analyze, like, oh, wow, I felt really good in the morning. Or, oh, wow, like my self-esteem really dropped when I had that interaction with that person. That's when you can analyze that. And not only analyze it and be honest with yourself, but imaginatively, calmly think about what you could do to change that behavior, or to make it so that behavior happens more often, meaning that you love yourself more and more throughout the day. That's the benefit of the success indicator. But Stone would say, and I get why people are like, I don't understand what the success indicator is. The reason some people don't get it is because it's not clear. It's not like ABC. Stone said you have to use your own, subjective preferences to figure out what kind of success indicator works best for you. But the general big picture point of a success indicator is to, gently but honestly be aware of your daily behavior and how it relates to your goal, the goal that you have on the top of that page, or the goal that you have in mind. I hope that makes some sense. This is not newbie advice for, law of attraction stuff. And the other thing I would say, and I'm going to link to this video above too, is when we are having trouble taking action, we have to get real with ourselves. And I'm going to link to the video above of talking about, like, how manifesting often is like refined passivity. Like, you're intentionally passive at points, but it's like refined when you're passive. Like, the success indicator is an example of refined passivity. But then you're probably going to be taking a lot of action during the day. And if you still find that you're having trouble taking action, if you're doing this stuff and you still find you're having trouble taking action, then you got to just, I would say you just got to fucking decide to do it. And again, that is the value of not just looking at LOA stuff, which tends to often inadvertently make us too passive, but, following more, more, I guess you could say, traditional modes of self-improvement or self-help, or like listening to people who get shit done. I'll put one final link above, of like, the podcast episode I did about like Navy SEALs, like Jocko Willink. I did an episode about some of the advice he gives, and people like David Goggins. A lot of you probably know who that is. Those are people who get things done. You might not agree with a lot of what they say or their beliefs or what have you, but people who are like in the military get stuff done. Business people who are successful get stuff done. They take the action they need to take. So if you find that, you're doing this stuff and you still feel too passive, and, you don't take the action that you feel like you need to take, I would look at some of that more direct, like military-inspired self-improvement stuff. Because a lot of time we just got to get off our ass and do something. Do something by deciding to take action, even if we don't know what that action is. Even if it seems like we're just taking action to take action, we're changing our imagination to get stuff done. And that is then imaginatively leading us towards our external goal. Hope this was helpful. If you want to join our group coaching session for February, it's going to be Monday, February 20th at 6 p.m. Eastern. It's going to be $50, which is a bargain. You can email me at info@radicalcounselor.com if you want more information and would like to join us. And any other questions, let me know. radicalcounselor.com. Until next time, take action.